Another amazing question from one of our channel subscribers today. Sunny, is there a connection or something related between the Latin and the standard technique? I currently focus on standard, but my teacher makes me do basics in Latin as I warm up for my standard lesson. And years ago, when I was studying Latin, my teacher told me to practice more standard. So, I'm thinking, is there a connection between the two, standard and Latin technique? And I'm curious about your thoughts on the subject. Yes. As a matter of fact, I do the same thing when I am teaching, guys. Okay, so this is really strange. I often find that a dancer will be able to execute some sort of concept incredibly well, naturally, in one style. And then weirdly, it is totally absent when they do another style. So if I've seen you do Latin at a social dance, I'm like, wow, they've got some great foot pressure going there. And then I see you in the standard comp floor, is no foot pressure. Of course, I am gonna tie in as much as I can in your mind. Okay, how do I execute this technique that I'm doing naturally very well in this other dance and apply it to this other style that I'm learning? Okay, this is way more efficient learning, because think about it. If you already have invented the wheel, so you have a wheel on your scooter and now you've got to reinvent a wagon. Well, do you want to reinvent that wheel from scratch? Heck no, just take the darn wheel off the scooter and stick it on your wagon. Way more efficient, much more effective use of your time and your hard-earned dance dollar. Okay. So even when I introduce a new concept, guys, if I'm teaching standard, but I'm like, oh, this applies to American rhythm too, I am very likely going to cover multiple dances in that one lesson if I see you understand the concept in one of the styles. Okay, I want to hit 10 birds with one stone, not just one bird with one stone, and then you got to pay for another lesson. Spend 45 more minutes reinventing that same lesson for another style. Waste of your time. Okay, and the vast majority of teachers, we are trying to communicate information as efficiently as possible, okay? Now, obviously, each genre has some unique characteristics. So I'm going to cover 4 of the main areas that I see when I'm teaching that we have a huge cross-pollination between the standard and the Latin, okay? Because that's specifically what our friend asked for here today. Okay, so number 1 is balance. Okay, so set aside heels and toes, rise and fall. This is going to be different between the dances, but balance is balance across the board. Got it in one dance, want it in every dance. Let me cut to the studio really quick so I can show you what that would look like on the dance floor. I'll be right back. So the first most obvious concept that's going to span all dance styles is balance. It does not matter how much technique you have. It doesn't matter if you can hear the music exponentially better than everyone else. If you cannot move with balance, then you can't even move on time. And number 2, good luck dancing with grace. So if you walk down the mall and you see people walking, it tends to look like this. And they have a little bit of a wobble to their gait. Often an asymmetry to the gait. If you see a ballroom dancer from the back and you don't know it's a dancer, you still know it's a dancer because they're walking smooth. With control, like they were in the military or preparing for Miss America with a book on their head. Okay, number 2 concept, posture. So there is a consistent posture between all the ballroom, Latin, rhythm, smooth dances. It does not necessarily apply to all of the dance styles, but certainly in the partner dance world, this applies, okay? So let me cut to the studio again to show you what that is gonna look like on the dance floor, and how if I see you do it in one dance, darn tootin', I'm going to apply it to them all. Here you go. When we're doing Latin or ballroom, we have a projection of the upper body, the sternum, that we don't see in regular people posture. You don't even necessarily see this posture in all dance styles. For example, hip hop, you're often hunkered down low. It's just a different technique, but often your teacher will have you do both the ballroom and the Latin to reinforce that isometric tone in your body. So that means that we are holding our muscles firm, even though we aren't carrying a weight physically. We're still flexing as if we're in a body fitness contest at all times. This is going to have a much more powerful impact on the judges in the room. This helps my partner see, oh, my center's here. Instead of, well, where's the center? I don't even know. Is it down here, up here? This gives the follow, who's usually shorter than the lead, a connection point. In the ballroom dances where I can connect up to the partner. In the Latin, when we're using more arms, this allows me to use my whole body to move my arm instead of just my arms. Hopefully we can see the difference. So this is very two-dimensional, invisible on the comp floor, right? Whereas if I'm projecting out and up, this is a 3D circular dominant shape that says, I am large and charged, look at me, dance with me. Okay, so we're working on this sternum connection. Obviously in the ballroom, it's a little more challenging with the flexibility in the back because I have to both project the knees forward and the sternum forward. But if your teacher has you working on both styles, there is a grandmaster evil plan in play. Number 3, leg connection, because we need that strong standing leg action, not only for grace and making a complete body shape that isn't totally upright like you would do in Irish dance, but it's also so the partner can feel where you are and feel the lead and follow. So here goes. I'm going to cut to the studio and show you what that leg collection looks like in standard Latin. Be right back. Now I'm going to show a quick demonstration of the leg collection and how this improves the connection to the follow and the shapes on the top, making one shape with the body rather than a bunch of cattywampus shapes. So regardless of Latin or standard, when we pass the legs, as often as we can, we're going to collect the knee across and then step to the next figure. It's pretty rare we wouldn't do that. I mean, perhaps a challenge line or something, but this is quite rare. Usually, unless it's a snappy picture figure, we're collecting, whether we go back, whether we go forward. And you can practice this on your own, in your living room, in your studio. My suggestion, what works for me, is to think about, instead of collecting the feet, collect the knee. So the knee goes across the other knee. We have an edge of foot instead of a bottom of foot. People sometimes get confused with toe in the book when it actually almost 100% of the time almost is going to be an edge of some sort. And I would do this whether I was working on Latin or ballroom. Okay, final big concept that I see a lot of people master in one dance and then miss the boat in the other dance is your fine motor control in your feet. Let me jump to the studio. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I will be right back. This is your fine motor skills in your lower body, meaning your feet, your ankles, your toes. In both ballroom and Latin, we have toes. In ballroom, we also have heels. And that fine motor skill in your feet, in your ankles, in your little toes. That takes time. If you look at a beginning level dancer, if you look at someone just strolling down the street, they darn near take flats. Okay. And good luck having control of your movement when you're taking flats. So those toes are engaged heavily when we take a toe going forward or backwards for that matter. We wouldn't want to go back on a flat, we would go back on a toe, right? So the toes are really small muscles. They're just like your fingers. As a matter of fact, Americans, you're probably familiar with Harry Houdini. This was a world famous escape artist, and his trick to getting out of all these crazy locks and contraptions was he had very long toes. And he used his toes like a normal mere mortal person would use their fingers to unlock these things when he was all wrapped up and escaped the water tank and all this crazy stuff. And so you probably just think of this as kind of a unit down here, but certainly as a dancer, we are using very finite motor skills to create all of that control in our movement that you're just not going to get if you use that whole foot. So I've talked about some dorsiflexion exercises, and we've got a couple things we can do here. We've got this, and if you do those at home, probably just brace yourself on a wall at first till you get your balance, but it's going to help cultivate the strength and the balance necessary if you need to. When I was teaching kids classes, I would do what's called a sitting contest. And I would have them sit like this and have a contest to see like who could make it through the whole song. You'd be real surprised. Try it at home. And another thing I love about this exercise is you can do it at home alone. Don't have to pay anyone to do it. Don't need a partner there. And it's really going to increase your balance and your strength. Once you get used to that balance, you can kind of take down the arms a little bit and start doing things with your arms as well. Obviously with Latin, you're going to think about making shapes. In the ballroom, you're going to think about your more static, isometric shape. So anyway, I hope that helps. Okay guys, hopefully those little video vignettes were helpful to visualize what the heck I'm talking about today. And I was able to give you a couple tricks you can do practice at home on your own. No partner needed, no money paying your teacher needed. And that's gonna help both that standard and the Latin that you were asking about. Smooth and rhythm too. So thank you so much for your question, guys. Hey, if you have a question, shoot me a note in the comments or private message me. Okay, I look forward to seeing you first thing tomorrow morning for some more Things Ballroom Dance, guys. Have an awesome day. Doodles.